Hi everybody, it's Kenny Daigle with KD Cuts. Hope you're having a great day. About a week and a half ago, I got in my latest edition of the Leather Crafters Journal. This is the March-April 2025 edition. Was going to go ahead and do a little review on this issue. I found some articles in here that I think are a lot of fun, and I've got some ideas to add to a couple of them. So let's go through it. All right, I've pulled the pattern pull-out out of the magazine, out of this issue. Let's go ahead and throw it on the side. Here's the cover art. Cover art is always described right inside the magazine, along with the table of contents. This cover art was done by Wayne Happ. He's taken a traditional Western style and he's added some elements, some dolphins and some bird elements. Very cool. Very good looking. Great job. So we roll into the magazine. There's the letter from the editor talking about how they put artworks into the Rocky Mountain Leather Show. It's a great little story. List of contributors. And then the first article is about making exotic leather bracelets. This is by Kata Fay. I'm going to dive into some detail here because I want to explain some ideas to you might find useful. Here she talks about using a 1200 grit sandpaper, that's for your edges, and a good barge cement. I've made lots of bracelets, like making them, and the idea of using the exotics interested me, cued my interest. So she's got very detailed instructions on how to do this. And what she does for these is she's using a 10 millimeter width magnetic clasp. Now there are many choices for clasps. You can go on Amazon and find hundreds, different styles, different sizes, different widths. So I'm going to show you a couple of ideas that I'm going to bring to you via video in the future. So just to give you a few ideas, lots of times when I make a bracelet, I use line 20 snap, which is great if you're just doing something tooled. Here's also something called a bayonet style. That's a mechanical locking device, not a magnetic device like the author Kata Fay talks about in this build. And then here's a magnetic clasp, but instead of being 10 millimeters wide, it's 15 millimeters wide. Now, when I decide to do this with some exotics, I think I'm going to make something wider, probably go with that 15 millimeter width. And here, she's talking about securing the ends. She's using an epoxy. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I like to use clear Gorilla Glue. You don't have to mix, it's not a two-part product. You simply follow her instructions of applying it to the ends and you secure your ends. I really like the clear Gorilla Glue for doing this kind of work. And to give you a little flavor about what I'll be doing when I work this idea is I've got some alligator drops from previous projects for clients in a regular brown and a crazy orange. So stay tuned for that in the future. I'm going to make some crazy bracelets using these guys. I also have a pink one as well as an orange one. So let's move on. Next article is by Sean Aquino. It's talking about a zippered wallet. Excellent little project. The next article is by Carla Van Horn talking about rulers. Very interesting, and I will cop to having many rulers. One of the things I like is I've always had, now this one's really torn up and really gnarly, but I've always had transparent rulers. I think it's very helpful at times to be able to see the leather below what you're marking or measuring. I've got several. I've got an Art T-Square. An Art T-Square has a very low bridge. It's only like 1/8 of an inch thick, very useful. And the other thing I have is I've always had a very large metal T-square. Find it very useful when I have to cut something bigger and I need to have some heft and weight to hold the leather down. It's just my preference. And the next article talks about pattern making. Very cool. I make patterns on a software package called FreeCAD, which is an engineering drawing package. Transfer them, print them out, and there goes Prince. Print them out, and then I glue them to the poster board to work with. I mean, here they talk about using Corel Draw, but Corel Draw is not a free product. Okay, I have Prince barking on the other side of the house now. Now, the end-all and be-all here is they talk about laser cutters. I actually have an Atom stack that somebody gifted me. I haven't put it to use yet, and I will one day, and when I do, believe me, I'll have some videos on it. But if you are interested in making patterns, I would say that a laser machine, hobby style, desktop style, is one of your best options. The next article is by Steve Yezik. Kind of fun. It says failure is an option. Bottom line is, I'm doing leatherwork for a long time, about 50 years. You're going to mess stuff up. If you do, you start all over again. No big deal. Okay, next we're talking about saddles and saddle repair. The magazine always has articles on saddle work, constantly and all. Don't forget about the Leathercraft Community Podcast Show, which is on YouTube. Great stories related to leathercraft and leatherwork. And then, guys, something that is just super cool. Gabor Pinter has a pattern for making a leather tool rack. I think this is so awesome. I am going to get to this one day. Very good idea. And of course, his artwork and his design on this one is really neat. Very cool. Goes all the way through that. All right. So what they did here is they took the Leathercraft Community Podcast and they put some of it in the magazine in a question-answer format. Great idea. Then the Leathercraft, the World Leather Debut, just showing you what the agendas are. It is going to, this is going to be this Rocky Mountain Trade Show. And of course, they're continuing on this 9-part, this part 33 on a bite, Turk's Head knot, how to do that. Multi-page, and scrolling and scratch. So your scrolling and scratch, you're just talking about making sure you're doing your beveling, your three-dimensional work properly, and they're giving you some cute examples. Previous issue, they talked about using colors and background areas, okay? But you have to really look at this carefully and closely if you want to be consistent with your scroll work and your 3D beveling. Here's part 3A of 3 for finishing a clutch, which was continued from previous issues. And there's an announcement about the Brighton Museum of Jim Jackson, Legacy of Art and Leather. Beautiful work. And then Bob Glenda's section again, saddle making. Something I wish I knew how to do. So there you have it. So that is the March-April Leathercrafters Journal 2025. I will tell you that I got a comment on my channel about the Leathercrafters Journal, and if you didn't know it, you can go to their website and you can buy back copies. I would suggest subscribing, but if you don't want to subscribe, go back and look at the previous, and here comes the planes are landing now in New Orleans at Morzan Airport. So you can go buy back journals if you just want to get one particular journal that has a topic that's of interest to you. So, hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe, and stay tuned for other videos, interesting videos doing leatherwork. Talk to you soon. Bye.